going to talk about listening for a moment. I can already see some of you out there right now. Russ, let me see, I'm 43 years old. I've been listening for, oh yeah, that's right, 43 years? I think I got it. You know, you'd think we would. Any of us who thinks that we are a perfect listener has really got a lot to learn. We can all get better at listening. What we're going to talk about is why listening is so difficult and what we can do to be a better listener. First of all, let me define the 3 types of listening for you. The first type is passive listening. Passive listening means that you're really not listening much at all. In fact, if you're passively listening to me right now, you're sitting in the room and maybe thinking about a to-do list that you've got. You're thinking about all the things that need to get done when you get home. You're thinking about other things you could be doing right now. That's passively listening. The next highest level of listening is called selective listening. Now with selective listening, this is where you're kind of in and out of the conversation. You're picking up bits and pieces. Show of hands. Anyone out there ever done a conference call? I think you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever heard this on a conference call? Well, and Russ, why don't you tell us about that? I'm sorry, would you please repeat that? Someone just stepped into my office. That always seems to happen on a conference call. What's the one thing that snaps people back into the conference call? Say their name. Just a little tip, word of advice. When you're on a conference call, before you lob somebody the ball, say their name about 3 times before the question. You're never going to hear that again. Now, the highest level of listening is called active listening. Active listening is extremely hard to do. It's very difficult. You know, there's a statistic that gets shared on how people talk, how fast they talk, and how much they can comprehend when they listen. When it comes to speaking, the average speaker speaks at about 125 words per minute. The average listener can comprehend 4 times as much, 500. It seems odd, and why am I bringing that up right now? Well, it tells you how magnificent this machine is up here. It can do many things at once. And just for you to listen to me right now, it's using about 1/4 of your brain. You don't need your whole brain to listen to me. You got 3/4 of your brain kind of getting bored. Active listening is very difficult to do. Let me give you some tips on what you can do to be a better active listener. First of all, focused attention. That sounds very simple, doesn't it? It's much more difficult, and it is the key to active listening. If you have ever listened to a long series of numbers, like someone giving out their phone number, and you're truly trying to remember that number while they're saying those numbers, that is what focused attention feels like, because you're not thinking about anything except for those digits that they're speaking right then and there. Second piece is take notes. When you're actively listening, take notes. Some people say, well, that's cheating. That's not listening. You're cheating. That's not cheating. You're actually helping your mind remember, because you're taking muscles to take thought and turn into something physical. Next, ask questions. By asking questions, you stay engaged in the conversation. When you stay engaged in the conversation, you're actually part of the action. That's why it's called active listening. Next, paraphrase and summarize. Paraphrase and summarize means that you play something back to them, and I usually suggest that they play it back to them with meaning. In other words, don't be a court reporter, and don't play everything back to them exactly the way they said it, but we play it back to them to confirm that we understand what they're actually saying. Next, you can use verbal prompts. Verbal prompts when you're speaking to someone could be something like, uh-huh, right, got it, okay, go on. It lets them know that you're listening, and it actually keeps you engaged in the conversation as well. Finally, I tell people you need to test yourself. And what we mean by that is ask yourself some good questions once the conversation has ended. Like, what did you learn about the other person? What did you learn about their situation? What could you do better next time to improve your active listening skills?